The unawakened people are absolutely just puppets on a string, caught up in the cauldron of this domains of duality and causality. And you carry the remnant of that in your own system. As a matter of fact, it's probably 80% of you. And this is your battlefield. This is the arena of manifestation. To reclaim the territory that you've been the puppet of, to pull back and reclaim for yourself. That is the true rebellion. That is the true standing in your own authority, is when you learn to own your own shit, when you learn to reclaim the territory of what's shaping your ability to see reality, to see existence, to see what's true and see what's not true, and to discover within yourself your capacity to manifest truth and love in the world. If you're not doing that and you're an awakened being, you're wasting this life. Wasting this life. Because unless this can become applied action, unless you can work with the remaining content with your system, you cannot be any more useful in the world than any other puppet dancing to the strings of Prakriti. And thus we live in a domain right now of consequences. The new consequences are showing up because you all here in the room with us, maybe those of you remotely can't see it, but everyone in the room with me today is wearing a mask. Because pandemic is not done teaching us the lessons that are coming. This is the early signals, the early indicators of what it is that is the cause, the effects of previous causes that we as a species have been unwittingly perpetuating, getting stuck into repetitive patterns, leading to its own eventual tamas, destruction. This is our time. When we wake up, we have the opportunity of not only waking up to the presence and the spaciousness and the timelessness, but to duality and causality. And in that awakening, we then have the capacity for useful action. In that place of consciousness, where we can recognize our own limitations, to be questioning our own assumptions, to be in the quality of humility and curiosity about what is the nature, what's true, and what works, what doesn't work. How can I learn more perfectly? What do I need to understand in order so that I can bring a greater truth and love into the world? If you look at your purpose, if we take the original intent, it arises from truth itself. It arises from the formation of truth. It arises from the source of consciousness. It is the part of you that can know that it is conscious. And from that, all it wishes to do is experience love. To experience the love of being in existence. The love of participating in existence. That's the purpose. All your awakened ordeal or ordained duty is to bring truth and love into your life, into your relationship with your lesser selves, your lesser fraction pieces, into your ability to recognize and understand the mechanisms that are running you, and to gain some authority over them. There's nothing else to rebel against. There's nothing else that is worthy. There is nothing else that can bring you to that place of true authority, which will also bring true responsibility, because you will become an agency for that original intent to manifest. And in those moments, you are the supreme. In those moments, you are the highest possibility that any human being carries. You are actualizing an inherent potential that was there all along. That is yours, yes, yours. But right now it's so veiled. It's every other fragment piece of you that's taking your attention, taking your power, taking your love, taking your truth away from you. Waking up to that shows you the truth of the peril you're in. And you'll begin to recognize that you're in the midst of an ordeal. It's not enough that you awaken. It's when you awaken to the peril that the purpose comes. And in that awakened state, in time, as you claim the territory, what comes is wonder, awe, gratitude, resolve, determination, purpose. You start tapping into the very nectar that arises out of that current that comes from that which is beyond creation. That is the expression of the dynamic expression of the Supreme Being. You get to live life from that place of truth, consciousness, and bliss. Everything else about spirituality is bullshit. It's a distraction and it's a strategy. It's where mind takes it over and creates it into mental structures in order to convince you that you don't know what you already know, and that you're ignorant, and that you have to do this or else you will not be saved. Yet, even in that, there's usefulness. Even in that, our technologies take away the dogma, take away the lineage of the hierarchies, take away the conditioning of the culture that contaminated every spiritual teachings that have been in the world, and you will have something useful. You'll have the basic structure that has maintained the world order, which is now failing. It's failing because the inherent best parts of previous spiritual traditions have lost their authority. They've become weak because those who spoke them, those who have perpetuated them, had converted it to the same paradigm. If you swim in these waters, you're likely to get wet. It is inevitable that even the most sincere and ready devotee of any tradition is going to get contaminated unless they can find this timeless space within themselves. And then they can begin to see how duality works. They can begin to recognize, oh, for every love I have, there is this suppressed or unexpressed hate. And for every liking I have, there is a disgust and a repulsion. Every range between hate and love is a whole range of opposites that dance in me all the time. For every knowing, there is ignorance. And every ignorance, there's a knowing. The latency within each event that occurs in time is always just a temporary showing until the other side shows itself. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 10 weeks, it could be 10 years, it could be 10 lifetimes. But we will discover that concurrent within us are all polarities, are all dualities. Learning how to hold one and not the other, or the other and not the one, is the ability to see that both are arising in whatever expression may be coming, to hold the space of that. And then there is not the blindingness of the extreme of one or the extreme of the other. There is a humility and a recognition that they're both here now, neither to be fixed or changed in the outer action, but to begin to find the intent behind duality and its consequences and its effects by holding the knowingness you're becoming. And in that holding the knowingness, you see the track. You see your ordained duty. You see the role it plays in every moment of your life, depending upon how awake you are. Because you're not going to see this in your usual moments when you're going around just being a puppet in your activity and your judgment and in your story and your belief and your idea and your opinion and your stand, your diminishment and your complaint and your projection and your blame and your shame. You have no power there. You're just part of the fulsome of the churning of this creation. You are worthless and meaningless. And so you should feel. I'm not really here. I'm depressed. I'm exhausted. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know anything. But it's not the true I don't know anything. It's the I can't know anything. It's a collapse of our original quality. It's a collapse of our ability to know the truth of what we are. We call that moment of collapse vulnerability. Very uncomfortable place, by the way. When you're awake, you become aware of what it's like to be miserable. When you're not awake, you don't know jack shit. You just know somebody's wrong or something's wrong or they're wrong or something's wrong with me, but it doesn't have any power. But when you awake, you can become aware, to be suspicious of whatever is arising as being that truth in that moment, but rather just a showing. It takes years, if not lifetimes. But in this time, in the age we're in your lifetime, it's possible to become established in that quality of the space of what you are here now as a human being in a body in the midst of their life. That's your location. Whatever, how the circumstances may have changed since your awakening, you're still in that location. It goes wherever you go, if you'll notice. Some environments are more favorable, some are less favorable for you knowing that. If you're in the same environment that you were before you awaken, guaranteed your awakening cannot become stable. Until you have enough authority to change your environment, then you need to get out of that environment long enough to establish that space and place that you are in time and in space. And then from there, you can see everything I'm speaking of. From there, you begin to see the track of your purpose. It's going to be right here, right now, with exactly what's listening to this right now, to exactly what's hearing this right now. In the record of your own direct experience of yourself as the space and timelessness. Teaching your ego, teaching your conditioned parts what it is to be that versus what it thought itself to be. The battlefield is there. Action is the means of this conversion. It's the means of reclaiming the territory. I'm a practical person. I made things happen. I made things, and I made things happen in my life. So I'm interested in what works and doesn't work. I'm always engaged. But I'm also now seeing what's working and what's not working. Not just what has showed up. I can see the causal forces that are likely to create certain effects. I can see that in action now and watch its effects go out. And I know where I stand. I know what I am. What speaks through me is that original intent. And so there's transmission. And I watch this. But this human ego lays no claim to this. This human ego is not vested. You get it or you don't. It is, however, endlessly determined and willing to keep perfecting the means for this to come into the world in a way that it can make a difference, because that's how I'm designed. And in fact, that is how you're designed. Every one of you are the architects of your own life, are the creators of your own reality. No one else is going to do it for you, no matter what the help you get. You can immerse yourself into this field and not get what you need to get so that it's yours, so that it lands, so that it becomes stable, so that it's a direct and immediate relationship with the divine reality that lives you every single day, in every single moment. I'm here to salt the fields of your ego so it cannot grow again. I'm here to create a complete destruction of the paradigms of what you imagined yourself to be, so that that which is true can grow out of its struggle and not be suffocated by the weeds of the recreation of your past ignorances and patterns and that you all conditioned, that we all inherited.